I'm just going to flow on. I've listened to a tiny bit of one of the other videos, and I think I need to get a microphone or speak up, but hopefully you can hear clearly. Also, you could use the transcript or subtitles. So this is part 2. How to ignite instant fury in a narcissist, psychopath, and energy vampire. I realized that having points is good, even though I want this to be kind of like a bit like a stream of consciousness and a conversational. I think it's good to have some things written down so I don't forget the points and then I come back, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that, or making multiple videos, which I might actually do if I continue doing these videos. Either I will go back to some of these topics and flesh them out, like going deeper into them, or just have like different stories. So I've got so many stories about what happened to me, and also like my take. When I was starting my journey, I was watching a lot of these videos, and they were really helpful because what it does, it kind of reinforces you that you're not the only one, that this thing is happening a lot at the moment, and yeah, that there's other people going through the same thing as you. And also it's really cool when you have people like a small kind of, I've done like writing comments and having like a small community of people who've been through the same thing, because it's such a funny thing that if you haven't been through this experience, you won't know. Like, there are people who don't know that these reptiles exist. There are people that maybe they married their childhood sweetheart, and I was on that path when I met someone that I really liked, another empath, and I kind of, relationship number 1 took me from that, but it was my fault because I decided to go. We always have to take accountability, but she used it. Relationship number 1, I was in a relationship, and we were going through some stuff, and I actually did go. So we are not perfect, we make mistakes. It's important to remember that even though we do make mistakes and we have done wrong and we take accountability for what we do, the most important thing is to learn from the mistakes, to try and do better next time, and to have like more kind of an awareness of what triggers you, and kind of start slowing down to the point of we're not as impulsive, because we do share some characteristics with these people. As I was saying in one of the early videos, where we are made the same as them, so we've got inflictions as well that we need to work on. But the beautiful thing is we can work on those inflictions and we can heal. It takes time. It's not linear, like one day is a good day, bad day, you go a bit up and take 2 back, you relapse, maybe he's not going into the carnal, you come out, and it's like a kind of like an up and down thing. But it can be like a lifetime's work. But what we want to get back to doing is sort of thriving in whatever we do in our life, in our careers. Like, I know that when I look back at those 3.5 relationships, I know that before I had met them, I was on a trajectory in terms of my career. And when I did meet, I think it was after number 2, I lost a job, which is like, at the time I didn't know it was because I was being distracted, because they do this, they constantly need your attention, your energy, your vivaciousness, your effervescence, your spirit. They drain you, so you sort of take your eye, you start making mistakes at work, you start not looking for ways to improve your tasks at jobs, you stop climbing the ladder, and you just kind of just slowly slip downhill. And I remember at that, and also it's funny because in every kind of organization that I've been in, or even like in my school days, I was always in the top set of, like, you know, like the smarter kids, like, you know, you have like top, middle, bottom. I was always like in the top set at high school. I was always like at work. I remember I worked for this company. I started working in art. I used to work in music before, and when there was issues, my boss would get people to speak to me, and I would help them rectify their issues. So I was always kind of the person who was all right at working certain things out. But what you find is that if you are dealing with these people, you lose that ability because you're constantly kind of like in your head, like, did I make a mistake? You're walking on eggshells. You're constantly going backwards and forwards, and they're constantly breaking up with you, coming back, blocking you, unblocking. It's like this weird game that goes on. And all it is they're just doing this intermittent reinforcement to get you to be hooked on them like a drug, like this trauma bond, which is really sad. Like thinking about this is how these reptiles operate. These people, they're really like mentally demented. But it really leaves you with a lack of drive and goals, and you really slip down in terms of like your progress in life. So if you're like at the beginning of this, if you're finding this information and you're like in your 20s, God bless you, you're very lucky. If you're finding it when you're 50 or even older or 40s, it's kind of like you could have wasted 5 years. I've wasted decade and a bit. You could waste years literally not knowing. So let's get back to the video anyway. I've got like maybe 5 or 6 more points on how to ignite instant fury in these folk. And number 1 I've got here is to say no. And you can say no to them directly, or you can say no to someone that is in their matrix of supply that they kind of own. So I'll give you 2 examples. One example was with someone that they perceived their own. I was with in a family situation, and we had I can say it, my dad was like a head despotic narcissist, right? And then he passed away, and someone else, I don't want to really give them up too much, took his place. Like they became the next head because they were more successful. They had like, with these people, it's all about power, dominance, control, right? So this person had paid for certain dinner or something, and I went to the dinner, and at that dinner I was asked to make gravy or make something, and I said no. And this person that took the place of the main narcissist, they literally went nuts. I weren't talking to them, by the way. I was talking to someone else, and what it was, I think I was doing something on my phone at the time, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was in the middle of something, and I was told to do something. I was like, no, I can't do it right now. Like, go get someone else to do it. And this person literally, they went nuts. One thing that you can, in that scenario, their eyes actually got really black. This is like one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Their eyes went like almost totally black. I think there might have been tiny bits of white around, but their eyes, and what that meant to me, they were so angry, they could not control their anger. But in that moment, what was happening was the spirit they don't know that they have within them. I don't want to talk about the energetics. Was actually, they were trying to transfer that spirit into me. It's very, very strange. That's why you have to get away from them. They possess something they don't know they're tapped into, most of them. Some don't even speak about this side. There is another energy that these people are tapped in. It's very, very demonic. So number 1 is to say no. Another incident I had was something to do with a work situation where a supervisor, someone who makes more money than me, has got more experience than me, higher obviously in that particular business. I think I said no to him about something that wasn't my job. And after that moment, this man literally had to sabotage everything that I did. So things like he was switching up my stock. Like, you have to drive to a depot where you pick up stock, and the stock for my jobs were usually wrong, or they were numbered wrong, or they had the wrong stickers on, or they had the wrong job numbers. So I had to go into the computer, find the correct job numbers, go to the sites. Sometimes the stickers were wrong at the site. I don't know how they do. They've got a network of people. They all work together. They're very, very hot. They're very, very sad. things were changed in the wrong way, so it was making my life extra. And when I was on site with another guy, he was like asking me to clean up all these different rooms and clean up after other colleagues and doing all this work, so you have extra workload. And up until that point, we got on fine. It was literally that one thing in his mind is like, in both of their mind, also the other narcissist, the family member, they think you're also an extension of them as well. Like, they can tell you anything, and then if you go against them, it's like, imagine they got a third hand like a robot, and the robot just dysfunctioning. Like, what? How dare you? They just cut that robotic arm off and go and get a new one or something. But they go nuts. So if you see someone, or someone's in your world, and you say no, and they have this negative response, or they become now you're like, you have to better get your armor, strap up, because war is coming. Like, you better get the armor of God on you. You say no to these people. They're like, woo. Anyway, let's continue. So one of the other points I got here, I've got another point there. I might skip that point. Is if you break up with or discard them first. So if you're in a relationship with them, it's like they're always testing you, like seeing where you are in the cycle. They kind of know when they've kind of taken all your energy. Like they know when to discard you. Like, if you're going to discard them, or they can see like you're getting fed up, or like your pain threshold, they're coming towards the end of your pain threshold, like you're kind of figuring them out, they will just break up with you. And when they break up with you, it's not like they're gone forever either. It's like they break up and they come back. Coming back, so that's called a hoover. So they'll drop you, they'll go and find someone else to get supply from that they've been speaking to already on one of their secret apps on their phone. While they're gone, they'll have a network of people spying on you, making sure they know about your progress, how you're doing. They might have secret apps on your phone. There'd be someone in your neighborhood giving them information. They sometimes spy on you through like secret cameras, microphones, apps, everything. They just do. These people, they go to the utmost. Like, trust me, they are like tapped in some forces, because it's not something that we would think a person would do. Like, why would you care so much? Like, you just get on with your life, move on. It'll be hard at first, but then you'll be busy finding a hobby, reading or something. But they don't think like us. They think like on a different wave. So another way to make them ignite their fury is to stop believing them, stop listening to their lies and believing the mask. So I haven't got any like examples that have come to mind, but when you get to the point of indifference with them, and you kind of are like, oh, all right, like they'll say something and it's just like baloney. You're like, oh, that sounds good, yeah, that's interesting, oh, I'll find out later, or I'll come back to you, or yeah, oh really, oh okay. Or you can even disagree if you want and say, oh, I don't see it that way. You can actually go against them sometimes, but more time is to not give them supplies, to just be like neutral to anything they say, not up, like give them like fire by giving them anger or validating and agreeing with them. Just kind of be like, oh, like just brush it off. So I got two more. One would be, you start remembering who you are. So I think they call it going supernova. I never went supernova, but I think when you are with them, because I woke up after, but you can wake up during the abuse. Like, you just realize that you're in a bad situation, and you sort of like, I was talking in another room, where you hold the mirror back up to them. You start acting like them. You start abusing them, manipulating them back, gaslighting them back, projecting back. You start doing all the manipulations back to them. So I think, so you start punishing them, and then they step away from you. But when an empath goes supernova, it can happen later on, and that's fine as well. It's kind of, you just become awakened. Like, one, that you're an empath, what you're doing, your perception gets better, so you start trusting your gut more. You just become you get the knowledge, you just start believing in yourself. You stop like giving them supply. Yeah, going supernova is something we might have to come back and touch on that. But essentially it's just you kind of wake up from the matrix as well. It's all kind of together. You just kind of see through the mask, the BS. The last one I've got here to ignite fury is for you to expose them, or exposure. Now, I would not advise anyone to expose them. I've made that mistake in the past as well. And what's kind of funny is after relationship number, all of them actually, I had a friend that was close, that I thought was a friend at the time, close by, who is also a narc, but at the time I didn't even know what a narc was or is. So I was telling him about what had happened to me. And if I remember back, he wasn't showing me any like emotion. I was like, oh, I'm sorry you went through that, or agreeing or listening. It was kind of like just all like going over him. And I don't know why at the time I didn't think this guy is nuts. Like, but it was made to be like it was all my fault. And it was like, and definitely there were faults that was mine. And I did lots wrong. I stayed, I chose them, I did things wrong. Some things was a reactive abuse, but some was also just the immaturity of like, you know, like you could be a bit hot-headed or angry, and you have to also deal with those emotions and not always react. So some of it was, you know, but the person that I was speaking to, it's like, who are you telling basically? Usually you either telling people that don't know about narcissism and don't know about narcissistic abuse, or you're telling a narcissist, because the number of people that nowadays they're mainly narcissists, psychopaths, even sociopaths, which is like a learned pathology, or you could call it sociopathy. Yeah, so the best thing is to like either you speak to like a very close family member that's a normal, or you just pray and you start writing things down and you document it. You go through all kinds of things. You'd be reported to the police. I was reported to the police by number 2 for sending an email of a threat of showing their body for Instagram or something that they know you can't do. Like, I could never do that. But the police got in touch and were like, oh, did you send this? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, just if you are, just stop it. And like, I didn't send it. Wow, that's like, these people are there. Like, anything that is the worst thing you could say to someone, the worst thing you can do to someone, they do it. A lot of them are in prison. Look at that Chris Watts. I spoke about him before. He was having a relationship with another narcissist. She's got to be a narcissist, Nicole Kissinger or something. And he ended up killing his wife, who had a baby on the way, and 2 girls. I think they were twins. I don't remember. But you killed to have this other carnal experience. You've killed your wife, who was pregnant, and 2 beautiful little babies. No. These people are like... And I was also watching this video about body language, and it was about Logan Paul. He's a narc, and his now fiance is also a narc. So it's funny when 2 narcs meet. She's like a somatic narc, like the way it's all about sex, like all her exes, and it was talking about her body language and how she was looking at him with these like reptilian eyes, like to like get him to comply, and how he, you know, had all these issues of, you know, being insecure and being like immature and kind of like white knight simping, all these kind of different things, which I thought was quite interesting. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you today. Got through quite a bit. I end the videos to the same way all the time. I would say keep going on your journey. Make sure you take the time to get outside. Give yourself a nice little hug. And there's going to be a lot of crying in this healing journey. Don't feel guilty to cry, and don't feel like crying always represents sadness. Sometimes crying is a release. It's like letting go of all the tension and vibration, and just letting things just clear out of the body naturally. So if you need to cry, let yourself cry, and you actually will feel better after that. So just someone used to always said this to me. Someone, and she annoyed me. She used to always say, "Be good to yourself."